In this video, I'm talking about being black in Thailand. When I moved here, I didn't think that this would be such a hot topic. I didn't think that people would be interested in wanting to have conversations about this, that it would be such a big factor, but it is. Just to let you know, when I came to Thailand, I wasn't getting away from anything in the United States. I'm not getting away from any narratives. I'm not getting away from any experiences. I absolutely love my country. I come from a long line of veterans, me being one of them as well. I don't think that my country is perfect. I don't have perfect things to say about my country. I have a bunch of critiques and things that I think that we could do to improve as a society and a nation, but I love my country. With that being said, my experience here in Thailand when it comes to being a black man in this nation versus the US, there are some distinct differences. I didn't think that I would feel the way that I do, and I'll just throw out a few describing words. I feel a freedom, not just freedom in general, but a freedom. I feel an openness. There's a contentment, and I think a lot of that comes with just being in a different culture. Maybe having the blinders on to a lot of things that I don't know about. Maybe it's the fact that I'm not completely drowned in Western media, and the media here, I don't really understand it. I only can perceive what I read. And so unless I'm going out of my way to read about things, and I do try to stay up to date with current events and what's going on in this country, I don't really have media as an issue. I'm not submerged in negativity and nonsense like I am in the States. And because it's the States and it's my country and I understand a lot about it, I'm more prone to be on Facebook and checking out a bunch of posts and reading a bunch of comments. I'm more passionate about it. And so I'm much more involved. And I do think that it's partly ignorance is bliss. I think that somewhat applies to me being here, but my experience here is totally different. And I do think the foreign factor is a huge one. So since being here in Thailand, I've gotten to talk to people from all over the world. And I do think that it's an additional factor. It's a little bit more potent because I'm not in my home country while having these conversations. So I feel like people speak openly and freely, like I was saying, and very passionately. And one thing that I've found is the people who have the worst things to say about a nation are the people from that nation. And I just find that to be interesting. So the negative perception that I have about Thailand, the negative things that are in my mind and on my radar have been shown to me and told to me by Thais because they have the experience and so on. Just like all of the negativity that I hear about my country comes from Americans. All the people here want to be in the US. And it's funny because I can say all of the people I talk to in the States want to be here. That's not even close. There are a lot of people looking to travel abroad, relocate for all different sorts of reasons. So before I move forward, I'm going to say I don't speak for anybody. This is just my opinion and this is just my perspective. I don't speak for black people. I don't speak for really anybody but myself, but I'm just sharing my perception and my opinion. I thought it was interesting when I did polls on my social media accounts and all the DMs that I get, that when I talk to a lot of black people, one of the things that comes up real quickly are questions like, how do they treat black people in Thailand? I think mostly they're talking about how do Thais treat black people in Thailand. Another question, which is similar but not the same, how do Thais see black people? And by black people, I mean black Americans. I understand that the word black can mean something different in Thailand. It can mean something different in the UK. It can mean something different in Africa and so on and so forth. But I'm speaking specifically about black Americans. I get questions like, are the police an issue? And then I get more cultural living based questions like, are there black products, be it hair products, clothing, food, and so on and so forth in Thailand that you have access to? And then the typical questions which don't directly relate to race or culture or anything like that, but stuff like cost of living and is it generally safe? So again, I've only got my perspective and my opinion, but I'm going to try to answer this as honestly as I can based on those things. How do Thais treat black people? Well, I don't think that there's a one size fits all answer, but if you're a black American and you're wondering if it's safe for you or if you'd be accepted or you'd feel like you can be in your own skin or things like that, it's an absolute resounding yes. You're totally good here in Thailand, by and large and in general, okay? Thais don't have any issues with Americans, Black Americans. They don't really have issues with a lot of different people. I'll probably go into some detail in a different video based on some of the negative things that I do see, but it doesn't directly relate to this topic, so I won't cover it in this video. I would say that in general, Thais are nice, receptive people. There could be a language barrier and they'll still be kind. They'll still be helpful. I even feel uncomfortable saying they'll because I don't like to throw blanket statements out there, be it positive or negative, because in some ways it takes someone's individuality out of the equation and it will throw a blanket image over an entire nation or entire situation, which could have a bunch of individuals who have their own rights to their own perception or their own actions. That was a mouthful. But this is why I use the words in general. In general, most people here will not feel attacked. They'll feel received. People are just nice. This is the land of smiles. It's not something that you really have to think about much, but because we come from a place where Western media puts race in everybody's face and stuff like that, I'm not getting into the nitty gritty. I might cover some of that in a different video. I don't really think so because I'm covering stuff, with Thailand, not with America, but that stuff's not really a factor here. Do I talk about that within the community of people who look like me? Yeah, of course I do. And some of you may be surprised about some of the content that we discuss, but it's not a major factor in everyday living. In general, here in Thailand, you will be treated according to your character. If you're a nice person, people here will love you. If you're a jerk, at first people might be nice to you. Doesn't mean that they'll love you, but you'll probably get some scoffs and things like that. Why? Because Thai people are people. And I think just when I talk to people, it kind of irks me a little bit because I'm here and a lot of you just don't get it. You won't get it until you get here. Why are the people like this? The people aren't any one particular way. People are just people. But again, in general, the people here are very nice. If you smile, they'll smile. If you look their way, a lot of times people will smile. It's just the way the culture is here. But does being Black have anything to do with it? I mean, I don't really think so. In my experience, I don't think that I got a wave or a hello or somebody said something to me that was super positive because I was Black, or vice versa. I don't think when somebody was rude to me or I had a bad experience, it was because I was Black. I really don't think in 7 months that I've had one issue with anybody where race was the main factor. Now, I've heard a lot of stories about how non-Thais, other Westerners from other countries and people from all over the world have issues with Black Americans here or whatever. But I do think also that those issues and those stories go across the board to anybody who had an issue with anybody. I don't think that there's a Black American race problem here in Thailand. Next, I'll try my best to answer, how do Thais see Black people? Now, I'm already at a disadvantage because I'm not even one Thai, but based off of a lot of the conversations that I've had, a lot of experiences I've had, I can do my best to answer based off of my own perception. Pretty much every single time race was brought up in conversation, whether it was casually, it's a group of people from around the world, and we're just talking, and there's somebody who's a Thai. I've always heard that Thais don't care. We look at you as people. We look at Americans as Americans, and that's the part that I thought was really cool. I gotta admit that I'm not used to being seen as just an American. I'm used to being seen as a Black American. Now, that's not inherently bad, but sometimes it's annoying. It assumes an American is someone who looks like this or someone who looks like that, and that's just not the case. Not like I carry that on my shoulder all the time, but just in conversation here and there, there's just some things that are kind of annoying. So it's cool. If you're a Black American and you come to Thailand, you'll be looked at as just an American. In fact, I thought the coolest thing ever, at least to me, took place when a Thai said to me, "It's my dream to have a Black friend." That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I've never even wrapped my head around that being able to be said. And that was said to me, and I felt some kind of way. I can't even lie. That's just one person, but I hope that that in some way paints a picture for you. There is a positive perception when it comes to Americans here in Thailand. Obviously, that's also coupled with negative perceptions because we all have stereotypes, right? And then there's just a culture clash that happens when you travel, or you get people who aren't used to the same things. We do things differently. And so there are some negative perceptions about Americans' attitudes. We can be loud, we can be arrogant, we can be, and you know what? A lot of that stuff can be true, but by and large, if you're a Black American here in Thailand, you're just an American. In fact, you're just a person. And if somebody is going to bring up you being an American or you being Black, 99% of the time, I would say that it's going to be from a positive position, that people want to talk about it. People want to talk about your experience. I've had conversations where people have asked me questions that kind of tug on my heart, that kind of irk me, but they're not coming from a negative place. They're coming from a place of interest. They're culture questions. They are asking me, right, as one individual, what's my experience with this, or what do I think about this, because they don't know how to think about it. They've never been to the United States. And so maybe it's something they've seen on TV or something that was displayed in a show or something like that. And we're just talking about things casually, and I'm able to give my singular perspective on the matter. And we've had these conversations, and from them, there's been just such interest that I thought it was cool. I like answering questions because people are genuinely interested and they're intrigued, much like I am about being here in Thailand when it comes to their culture. Are the police an issue? This one is kind of tough to answer simply because it's kind of a weird question for me to answer. I'd have to go all into stuff about my country and this is that. I just feel like it's a slippery slope. So I will just say, no, the police are not an issue. Yes, you'll have to deal with some forms of corruption, here and there. Somebody will stop you because you're not wearing a helmet. Hopefully you just wear a helmet. I got a ticket one time for not wearing a helmet. It wasn't because I was Black. It was because I didn't have a helmet on, okay? And so, of course, there were some Thais that zoomed by. There was 3 people on the bike, and I'm right here getting a ticket, okay, for not wearing a helmet. They didn't get a ticket. It wasn't racial. It's because I'm a foreigner. They took my 500 baht and we kept it pushing. It's just the law of the land. But there's not an issue. Can I speak for all experiences? Can I speak for all law enforcement interactions here in Thailand? No. But again, by and large, you're not going to have an issue. Nobody's going to bother you because of your skin color or anything like that. I've not heard anything like that. Doesn't mean it's not real because I haven't heard it. But is this something that you have to worry about over here? No. Is it possible to get Black products in Thailand? Yes, because you can order them. Is there Murrays and do-rags on every aisle? No. Is there certain types of combs and brushes that we use? I haven't seen any, okay? And I'm just like throwing out random stuff as it comes to my mind. No, I mean, maybe we need to open some stores, over here, but I order the stuff that I need. My in-laws, sent me a care package that had some stuff that I need, so I can stay right, but no. Now some food, there's all kinds of food here. It's not America. So if I were to get into, stuff that's stereotypically Black foods or soul food and this, that, unless you were to go to a restaurant, because those are starting to pop up. Okay, there's one in Pattaya. I think there's one, here in Bangkok. Unless you're going to a restaurant or you're cooking something where you already have the ingredients, I personally wouldn't bet on there being Black food products per se in aisles and stores here. Now, there are a couple stores that have a lot of Western food products just in general. How you cook that and what you use in this, that, that would be up to you. But there are some stores where you can cook up some stuff. In our Thanksgiving, it was, that we hosted our house. It was an international thing. So we didn't have, everything that we would normally have in my mom's house. But there's some other Americans that I knew that threw down, and they were able to find some products, stuff that they ordered. They went to the stores, and they were able to get down. So I think if you're here, as long as there's some specific things that you have to order, you're good to go. Is it safe? That's the question I get a lot from people in general, but especially from Black Americans. People hit me in the DMs. Is it safe? What they're asking is it safe for us? And I'll explain a little further. I perceive that as, is it safe for me to be all of who I am? All of my culture, all of my antics, it's a safe place. This is a place where you can express yourself without issue. This is a place that's very accepting in every single way. It's a safe place, both physically, culturally. There's all kinds of evidences of that. You can come to Thailand and just be yourself. If you're one of those people who are worried about that, do I gotta be this way or not in Thailand, you don't. You could be 100% yourself and come here to Thailand. One of the things I wanna bring to the table that I've seen on other YouTube videos and I've talked to with all my brothers here in Thailand is that when we see each other, and I'm talking about when Black men, or Black American people see each other, what the interactions are like. And if you're wondering, because there's no gangs, there's no territorial issues, there's no socioeconomical issues, every single time I see someone who looks like me that comes from my country, it is all love. It's such a cool experience. I end up talking to people for long times. We always exchange numbers. We invite each other to go here, to go there. We tell each other, where you can get this dish and where you should go for this, and that this is the hookup over here and this is a good place to get your hair cut and stuff like that. And if you're watching and you're confused and you think that that's absolutely normal, that's not always normal. That's not always normal. The US is a huge place. And I can only speak as somebody from the US. It's a huge place. So there's all different types of reasons why, if I'm in a city, that I'm not from, or even if I'm in my own city, why I might not have an interaction at all with somebody who looks like me or just somebody else. We're just different culturally. We're not always as receptive in the US. I feel like the US is more open personality wise. We're a little bit more vocal, maybe a little bit more forward, but we're not more receptive. And so when you come over here, things are just different. It's kind of like, we feel like perhaps we're all on vacation, or, there is this kind of overwhelming feeling like we've made it to the other side. I don't really even know how I can describe that, but it's just a feeling here. It's just different. We made it, away from where things are different. And that's not anybody, tearing down the US or anything, but it's just different over here. We're both foreigners. And I think that's the thing that unites us. We're foreigners, where we have our inherent culture that is going to be common ground. And it's a lot of culture in a place where we're all foreigners are the vast minority. And I think that that's a huge factor. So one of the things I look forward to the most is running into other Black people. I love talking to anybody, but I love talking to people who look like me because we have a similar experience, and now it's aggregated. Now our cultural similarities and stuff it's just on point. It's just something that you have to experience here. If you're one of those people who are watching this video and you're just appalled by the topic in general, there's probably not much I can do to help you, but I want to be kind and courteous and just give my take and my perspective on why this conversation even matters. For me, it matters because it's a point of emphasis in many of my conversations with people who look like me. I can go into great detail about why that is. There are just things that are near and dear to our culture in general that a lot of times Black people feel like we need some confirmation about. I've had tons of conversations with people who look like me about this and about that as it relates to Black culture. And I think those are healthy conversations. What kind of baffles me is how people get super interested in going to another country, learning about all their culture, learning about all their perceptions, And not only do they not have an issue with it, but they're pursuing it and spending a lot of money to do it. But then, with my crazy country, which I absolutely love, as soon as you bring up culture or race or anything like that, now you got people who's up in arms. So it matters because there's things that people care about. They absolutely care about. It's near and dear to their heart. And so I feel like it's a valid conversation because it comes from a positive place. People want to know, how is it over there? How are we treated over there? How would it be for me in this particular way? I'll end it with that. I absolutely love being an American. I love having a US passport. It is quite a privilege. I will say that. I absolutely love being a Black American, and I absolutely love being a Black American in Thailand. Before I go, I want to ask you, what are some of your questions on this topic? Maybe if you've been here, what are some of your experiences that you've had? If you've had terrible experiences, you can share that in the comment section. We can talk about it all. I only have my experience and my perceptions. Also, let me know if you'd be interested in me going live to discuss some of this. I want to do an entire series on just culture as it relates to being a US citizen out of the country, as it relates to Black culture, Thai culture, and things like that. All the culture that I'm experiencing here. I want to keep vlogging about this stuff and having these types of conversations, but I do think that there can be a space for me to go live, answer questions, really any questions in a live setting to where we can cover this stuff in real time. If you've been enjoying my content and you'd like to see more and go with me on this journey, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because I have a lot more content coming to you. I look forward to interacting with you as well. That's all for today. It's kind of a tough topic because I'm very passionate about this topic. I'm very happy to discuss this topic, but it's somewhat of a minefield as well. I'm glad today I went there. It's a positive conversation. I encourage everybody to talk about culture as long as it's in a positive manner. Talk about culture, okay? It makes us part of who we are, the things that we love, the way that we think. I love talking about culture, so thanks for watching here today. I'll see you in the next one.